what it means to be enterprise grade and why Tier 3 isn't. I recently had a discussion that I was in hijacked by the marketing rep for Tier3.com. Tier 3, if you aren't familiar, makes a product called Iron Foundry that lets you run Microsoft Azure written software, not on the Microsoft Azure platform. The idea is that you can then have an open source platform that would give you more control over how your applications are running and not tie you to the platform as a service that's provided by Microsoft. The downside to all of this is that Iron Foundry is written by Tier 3. Now, when you're looking at a company, you say, are they the quintessence of what you're looking for in the services that they provide? When you say Flickr, you say, wow, Flickr, that's a good name. It goes with being a camera. They make that flicker sound. Yeah, it just goes with it. I can see it's about flicks. Yeah, I like that. Or, Facebook, it's all about faces and booking time with friends, and it replaces the Facebook that we used to have. Yeah, that's the quintessence of things. Or even MySpace, it was about my space on the web. Well, Tier 3 means not ready for enterprise. So the idea that you're going to get not ready for enterprise grade cloud computing is kind of stupid. Really stupid, in fact. And so you go out to Tier 3 and you look at their marketing materials to find out what makes them so enterprise grade. Well, they have a 5.9 SLA across the entire platform. Wow, that's really impressive. They're going to promise that you're only going to be up 1 minute every 100 million minutes. Not quite that, but it's pretty bad. So, then you say, okay, let's what do their competitors have? Well, infrastructure as a service providers have a red dot. What does a red dot mean? Usually it means they don't have anything, so they must not have. But there's a minus sign. A minus sign usually means not there either. So you look it up and it turns out that red means it costs extra and minus means not applicable. And so you look at 5.9 SLA across the entire platform, and the platform as a service provider, that's not applicable. How can the reliability of the platform not be applicable to a platform as a service provider? It's mind-boggling. Then you got these yellows down here that means not fully implemented. And you see that enterprise-grade brand name hardware is a feature of Tier 3, but it's not fully implemented on internet or infrastructure as a service provider or platform as a service provider. Now let's think about who it is that is the Tier 1 platform as a service providers. Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. Now, what are the odds that they're running on non-enterprise grade, non-brand name hardware? Like, they just decided, hey, yeah, we're running this Google stuff, and we're going to run on the same infrastructure that we run our huge-ass search engine on. And, Hotmail, and Maps, and Docs, and all of those things, and we've decided to skimp on the hardware because, just a D-Link router's probably good enough. There's no reason to go with those 3Com or the Cisco stuff, just throw in a D-Link, it's all the same. Yeah, I'm sure that's what happened. And then you look at, they claim that they are SAS-70 Type 2 audited PCI and HIPAA compliant. Now, to be HIPAA compliant, everyone who has access to the physical machines and all of the software that's running on the physical machines has to be HIPAA compliant, which means that every person that you hire who has access to the hardware, or every person who you sell services to that runs on that computer, has to have gone through the HIPAA compliance training. Now, I would be willing to bet that nobody at their company has actually gone through the HIPAA compliance training. But even more telling is, they run in Eqinix, and I like Eqinix. When I'm picking a place to put my physical machines, Eqinix is one of my favorite choices, partly because they were really close there in San Jose to where I lived, but also because they have points of presence all over the US, and they're a great company to work with. However, Eqinix does not have 5 nines of reliability, so you can promise that you're going to have a service level agreement of 5 nines, But what you're really saying is, when we're down, we will just not charge you for that downtime. Which basically means, instead of losing money hand over fist and us getting paid, you're simply going to lose money hand over fist for your downtime. However, then you get down here to the whole HIPAA thing, and it turns out that Eqinix isn't certified to be HIPAA unless you have an exclusive cage, meaning that you have this nice fence around all of your computers, and that the people of Eqinix don't go in and do their helpful hand service. So, it's very unlikely that Tier 3 has ever built a HIPAA-compliant, HIPAA-certified service, because they're built in Eqinix. And like I said, I like Eqinix, but Amazon, Google, and Microsoft haven't been able to advertise that they make HIPAA-compliant cloud solutions because you can't get all of the employees to meet those certifications who have access to the hardware. So, Tier 3 pulled a whole bunch of marketing out of their ass and said, hey, this will sell stuff. And they didn't care about the truth, because they're Tier 3. They suck. That's what Tier 3 means. It means we aren't ready to play with the big boys, we just pretend. That isn't to say that every Tier 3 provider isn't great. I love DreamHost. DreamHost is great. But I wouldn't run my enterprise scale websites on it. I wouldn't build a platform on it. No way. That's not what it's there for. So, when you're looking at Tier 3, if you've gotten far enough into this video that you haven't been convinced that Tier 3 is an idiot, you're probably an idiot too. So, next time you're looking for a cloud provider and you're thinking about infrastructure as a service, or platform as a service, or managed service provider, or even standard hosting, Tier 3 ain't going on the list because they suck across the board. They don't even understand what those things mean enough to make a marketing slide that pretends that they know what those things mean. My voice is totally gone because I've been sick, and I'm sorry, but this is the end of the video because I can't talk anymore.